welcome to Behind the Music for Daily Hope. Tomorrow marks the 20th anniversary of a tragic event that took place in our nation, 9/11. I'm sure that you know where you were on September 11, 2001, like anybody who was old enough to remember. I have a few tragic memories from before 9/11. I remember watching the Challenger explosion when I was really little. I remember hearing that we were going to war with Iraq as a grade school student, and that was also scary. But I was in college when the first plane flew into one of the trade centers, and I can remember exactly where I was at that moment. I was accompanying for a voice lesson in my undergrad school, and playing, and somebody was singing, and all of a sudden somebody was banging on the door saying a plane just flew into a building in New York. And some other people in the hall heard. They came down to the studio, and our professor said, without any questions, without any trying to find out what was happening, she said, "We need to pray." And so right there in the studio, a bunch of us music students just knelt down and prayed for an event that we couldn't even begin to comprehend. After that, I went down to the student center where everybody was starting to gather. This was before smartphones, so we had to go to where the TVs were. And I was there in time to watch the second plane fly in, and just the rest of the day is kind of a blur as these events went down. But I also remember that they called the choir together and said, "We're going to do a special service tonight." And so we practiced some songs, and we all got together and we prayed and we sang, and it's such a tragedy, and I know it's one that we're not going to forget for a very long time. So this weekend, as we're reflecting on that and thinking about the events that have happened in the 20 years that have passed since then, it doesn't seem like things are really getting better. We now have more diseases. We're dealing with COVID. There's flooding. There's wars. There's the end of wars that's causing more problems. And it's kind of scary. But the Bible tells us that this is going to happen, right? It says wars, rumors of wars, there's pestilence, all these things are going to take place, and then the end will come. And the end coming is not necessarily the good thing, and for some people that will be sooner rather than later, but it's what comes after the end that gives us hope. We have this hope of eternal life, and so it's so easy to get bogged down in all these things that are happening here on earth, and we need to remember we're here to look forward to something else. So the piece that I wanted to play for you this weekend, as all of these thoughts were going through my head, and it's kind of, a sad and introspective time, there's a hymn tune called Land of Rest. And just the tune that's associated with it is Jerusalem, My Happy Home, thinking about what we have to look forward to. As all these things were going through my head this week, the second verse kept standing out. And so I'll read you the first and second verses because the stanzas are kind of short. Let me read it for you. Jerusalem, my happy home, when shall I come to thee? When shall my sorrows have an end? Thy joys when shall I see? O happy harbor of the saints, O sweet and pleasant soil, in thee no sorrow may be found, no grief, no care, no toil. So this weekend I'm going to be playing an arrangement of that by the American composer Leo Sowerby. He wrote a setting of this, and you can hear it sounds very American. We have some force, it's a nice simple tune coming through. He was known as the dean of the American church music, so a lot of his pieces are very accessible for church. And I just thought this tune was so important as we're looking beyond all of the tragedies of this life and looking ahead to when we get to be in Jerusalem, when we don't have to worry about pain and sorrow and death and dying and all of these things. We just get to be there at the land of rest with our Creator, and that's something very exciting to look forward to. So I hope you enjoy this piece by Sowerby, Land of Rest, and I'll be back with you again next week.